Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are across this great wide world of ours. I know I haven't done a video. I did a short consult thing on PowerPoint on um, Excel pipeline that I posted, and I was just playing around with that, learning a new skill with PowerPoint, which that's something I always want to achieve every week is learn at least something new a week because I think that keeps your mind going, it keeps your body in motion. Now, my biggest issue right now is just working on trying to lose the weight. But the point I wanted to do this little video and then move forward on this is that I do quite an extensive work on Native Americans. Like I said, I just wrote a book last year, Water Quality on the Reservation. 6 months prior to that, I did Native Americans, Casinos, and Diminishing Returns. I just published a little book called Abundance that was more or less just out of the ordinary back into my IO psychology or psychology. And then my new one that I'm going to work on is the transformation of secretary of the interiors, and then also I'm working on some things about law and especially on uh, property law when it concerns Native American lands. So the issue that I wanted to address today is we're approaching the Marches when the Interior Department was founded, and then when the Department Bureau of Indian Affairs. And though I know Doge is doing a lot of work, looking for waste, still my contention is there is a lot of waste within the Interior Department, namely within the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I'm sure at some point they will probably look into that, but I've been a component for the last year and a half on that, and there is an issue there where there's a duplication of work. You don't need all those departments, and with my research and my scholarly work, I just find with, for instance, case in point, historical drama, always moving Native Americans on isolated lands, and those lands, case in point, and like I said, I just wrote a book on water quality on the reservation. Some of these lands where there's not any plumbing and there's a scarcity of clean water. But the point, folks, that I'm looking at this is, I'm at the crossroad of this, and I've been thinking as to, as I'm working on this, what I call Master's in Legal Studies concerning Native American rights in rights of property rights with Native Americans. My issue becomes, is this something that I can do myself? In other words, create the atmosphere, create the emotion for this myself, or in other words, create a nonprofit organization, which would be called, look at it in, clean water source for low income as well as Native American people, and especially when we look at the American Southwest, where a lot of people count on the Colorado River, and then we have drought years and mega droughts, and then when that occurs, the water supply is agriculture becomes number one, and then the cities such as like Phoenix, Tucson, Las Vegas, the water source becomes there. And then we look into cities in Southern California like Los Angeles, or in case when we talk about the fires that they didn't have the water on. So the issue becomes there again, water, clean water, reliable water, drinking water for people to use. In case of Palisade, South Carolina, that was a big mistake in the fact that the people didn't have water, and this is going to be an ongoing problem because as this mega drought continues and the temperatures still keep going up, there's going to be a demand for water, and the issue becomes, and it's something that I debate about too, is at some point in the next 50, 60 years, we may have to look at relocation of Native American tribes out there, as well as depopulating some of the major cities because of the fact that there's going to be a lack of clean water. So, and that becomes a big issue in itself. And, we always get this influx of people moving in, and there's no, it's, I don't know what the mentality is. It's more or less, let's get what we can today and then worry about it tomorrow. Or as I call it, the old cliche, kick the can down the road, and the can is still on the road. You can still kick the can on the road. You go 10 feet, the can's still on the road. Kick it again. So the can, or as the old cliche, the elephant in the room. Though I don't like the elephant in the room, because it's just, to me, elephant in a room doesn't sound very pretty. It sounds very stinky. So I like the cliche of kicking the can down the road. But I digress. The point I wanted to do about this video was the fact that we've come to a point that I know Doge, I always call it Dodge, but Doge is working or focusing on certain areas. But my contention is that there are other areas too, not to forget about too, because like I said, we've got 12 divisions of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and I'm sure at some point they will get to it. And I think it's a duplication of work and what I study and what I see about it. And the other issue that I would come out of this is that when we promote these people to interior secretaries, like Secretary of the Interior, my concern is, and like this one, and then the one part of this, sometimes there are people in the West, and the point that I want to make about that is sometimes maybe, yeah, that's interest. We're looking at people on the 100 Meridian, West. It's arid, it's dry, and all that. There's people out there, but sometimes I've heard this last week. Maybe we're not getting the best minds to look at the situation out in the West. We're just getting people that are in the West, and sometimes maybe we should take a look of somebody in the eastern part of the United States that has different perspective, different acts, and can offer a different perspective and see what the problem is. Because once you live out west and you're a congressman or a senator, you're going to have your certain viewpoint about it, and not necessarily going to have the right viewpoint. And what I see and what I've studied so far is that the ones that seem to be most successful as secretaries of the Interior seem to have more of an Eastern influence rather than a Western influence. I know people will say, well, you all did a good job. And we could say, for instance, Udall and the other secretary, I believe that was under the first one, I can't think of his name, under Warren Giardi was from the West. But the point that I like to think is that people such as like Harold Ickes and somebody James R. Garfield were of Eastern influence, were attorneys, and had a different perspective to look things in the West. And the issue, another issue I'm talking about too, is I have this issue with the dams. And not necessarily, I don't think the people have been talking about removing the dams. I don't know if that's such a keen idea to do as well, because there is going to be and depending on the next couple of years, an influx of available, clean, reliable water. So I'm not so sure removing dams is a good component west of the 100 Meridian currently right now. And I think that's something that assessments and the legal minds, scholarly legal minds, take a look at this. Yeah, and that's the other aspect that I want to add, and this will be my final point. Sometimes we look at the situation as natural resources and minerals, excuse me, like through the BLM mining and etc. Divisions. The key on that is there comes a cap, what I call a cap, or in other words, like with oil, we've reached that. We reached that sometime in the 70s, early 70s, mid 70s. We've reached the highest production we are in oil. So, and now we're into fracking. And then we get into the fracking issue. We got to remember one of the most pristine underground sites is north of Texas and Oklahoma, which is the groundwater. And if it's somehow that groundwater gets polluted or gets issues where it's not drinkable, there are going to be a hell of a lot of shit ass people in a lot of deep doo doo because a lot of people use that water. And so there's just aspects of this, just how much, or what is what I call ROI, the return on investment, looking into this. So anyway, these are just some food for thoughts. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And please feel free to reach out to me anytime. Be Thomas Miller Psych. Remember my latest book, Abundance, I just published that self-published. But the one I posted last year on water quality on the reservations is also a self-published and available on Amazon. Feel free to reach out to me and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.